And good morning, my people. Welcome to another Sunday morning randomness. Well, maybe not so random. There is actually a topic for today, kind of. Might keep us going for a while. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. So, welcome everybody. Stream is likely about something. Where are we? Good morning to Mr. Fix-It, Tradie, Trev, Gerald, Dion, some call it Fun, Keith, H. Sharky, Mitchell, Tradie, Scott, did I say Scott? No, Johnny, Gavin, and Russell. Okay. Yes, you all made it. You made it, Russell. I just read down the names. I haven't actually read the comments, apart from that one I saw earlier about what are we doing today? Checking in early. I've been on out today. Hoping to catch you all, says Mr. Fix-It. Good morning, everybody. Right. Oh, Sion is here. The Lane, Johan is here. Cable Tie is here. Let's build. Yes. Tradie says it's my Sunday church session. Yeah, kind of is mine too. So, now, today we have this little thingy that Austin sent me, and I was thinking of playing around with that a little bit more. Yes, as Sion says, never fear, Cable Tie is here, and Celtic is here as well. So what I'm going to do is play around a little bit with Node-RED and with setting this up so that I can use the touchscreen here in the office. But before I get into that, I'm just going to show you a little bit of progress. Progress. Okay, what am I going to open? Cable to tie. Yes, you have trained those grasshoppers well, Sion and Johnny. So the last week has seen some pretty dramatic changes here in the factory. I think I showed you some pictures. Let me open this up. I'm going to open some things up, bring them up onto a screen where you can see them. So, did I show you these pictures? I really can't remember. This was from a week and a bit ago, loading some Dexian pallet racking onto a truck. And it's one of those things where I actually have no memory of whether I talked about all of this or not. I think I probably did, but I really don't know. I think I did last Sunday. I must have talked about it. Gavin said, looks safe. Yeah. No, maybe I didn't. Was it last Sunday that I had Austin on the stream, or was that the Sunday before? No. Last Sunday I didn't stream at all, I think. That's right. It was because of all of this stuff going on. Okay. In that case, there is a Cable Tie. Don't say that. It wasn't me lifting it. All right. There is a whole backstory here. I haven't streamed for 2 weeks. So that means that, yes, a lot has happened. All right. I did tell people, like I've talked about this in Discord, in the Superlab build channel, and shown some pictures and things. But for everybody else, I'll bring you up to speed about why there was no live stream last Sunday. See, I can't even keep track of it from one week to the next. Cable Tie, no, you didn't miss anything last week. All right, here's what happened. 2 weeks ago, tomorrow, so Monday week ago, I think it was, Lachlan saw a notice on Gumtree, I think it was, and it was a guy who was moving out of a factory in Bayswater, 3.5 kilometres from here, so just up over Canterbury Road and along a little bit, not far away at all. And the that same week, yeah, that same week was also the Everything Open conference and the Open Hard. A whole lot of stuff has happened in the last 2 weeks. It's like it's scrambled my brain, and there's been so much. Okay, so Monday week was the Open Hardware Mini-Conf when Andy and I did the one day. I should say Andy did it because he spoke for, I think it was about 5 hours straight that day. We did a workshop on FPGAs and other things related to this. In fact, I have the, can I stretch it across? Yeah, it is going to take a little while just to get you up to speed before I even get to the topic that I was going to talk about today. So we were messing around with this. In fact, is there power in the battery? There might be. Yeah, it's starting up. And yeah, cool. So this is the conference badge from LCA 2022. At least it was meant to be the LCA 2022 conference badge. And in fact, I'm going to stick that here under the overhead camera. So yeah, this is the conference badge, ESP32 on it. It's a LOL 32 Lite, so it's got battery management stuff. And I'll pull these off for now. That's what we were meant to be delivering as part of LCA 2022, and then everything went off the rails. So we ended up doing this as the Everything Open conference badge for 2023, which was last week. And it's got the add-ons on it. So this is the Rockling add-on, which has an FPGA on it. So that's an up 5K FPGA. It also, which way around should I hold it? Maybe that way. So it has two frequency counter inputs on it, so that you can attach antennas to it, and then use this as a theremin input for making music, essentially. And there is an audio stage here, so there's an audio amplifier. There is a digital to analog converter for generating tones and signals and things. You can see there's a headphone jack here. There's audio in, audio out. There's a bunch of stuff on it. So that is like an FPGA-based audio processing board. And it's designed to be an add-on. So it goes onto the conference badge. It plugs on with this header just here and gets its power from the conference badge, or it can plug in up there or wherever. And this was an add-on from the previous year, which was the inspiration to make the full-size conference badge that shape. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic here, but this is just kind of context for what was going on. So last Monday, Monday 2 weeks ago, Andy and I did the workshop for this. So setting up the tool chain for FPGA development on the up 5K and getting people started. So MicroPython running on the conference badge, and there's a soft core CPU running on the FPGA in here, and some other stuff. Anyway, so on that same day, I'm going to turn my audio down a little bit. I think I'm coming in too loud. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, so on that same day, Lachlan saw an ad for this guy who was moving out of his factory. And it was a situation where he had sold the factory, he had a 3-month settlement on it, and he was moving all of his stuff to another factory just down the road in Bayswater. But the factory he was in was over the years he'd done a lot of work fitting it out, and he'd built a huge mezzanine area out of Dexian racking, and there were 3 pretty big rooms underneath the mezzanine, and I think it was 6-meter ceilings in this factory. It's a pretty big factory, so it was like full 2-story internally. And So the agreement when he sold the factory was that the buyers would take it as it was, and it had this enormous structure built inside of it, and got to, I think it was 5 days before settlement, and the buyer said, oh no, we changed our minds, we don't want that structure in there, you've got to get it out. And he was right in the process of moving all of everything else, because he still had all of his equipment in there, lots of big heavy equipment that he was moving out, and basically panicked, had to get it out of there in a hurry. So he put this notice on Gumtree saying mezzanine, Dexian, MDF sheeting, like free, just come and take it away. And that was when the next couple of days of panic happened. So Lachlan got in touch with him and we said, yes, we'll come, we'll disassemble your mezzanine. I'll see if I can find some pictures of early on when it started, like what it looked like before we started demolishing it. There was, what's this one? Yeah, this doesn't really give you a sense of the scale of it, but I'll bring this one up. So, yeah, this ceiling that you can see up here, this is a 6 meter high ceiling. And so it was basically 3 meters for the first floor, 3 meters for the second floor, and this frame in the middle with this Dexian racking, and this is one end of it. And then there were also sheets, like it was sheeted out, so it was all, this actual, where you see here, this photo is actually pretty well dismantled. This was after a lot of it was taken out. And there were 5 meter long sheets of MDF. Actually a bit more than 5 meters, they were like 5.1 or 5.2 meter sheets of MDF, which weighed something like 85 kilos each, and being 5 meters long, not really easy to move. So over the space of the next few days, Lachlan and I disassembled all of this. So here you can see the first room, and these beams, how long were these ones? I can't remember, but it's a pretty big room. And then you can see there's a second room behind it there, and then there's a third room that goes on beyond that. And yeah, extremely solidly made. So it was 2 sheets of 19 millimeter MDF with the sheets on opposite directions, like with different runs. So there were sheets on the bottom that ran lengthways. That's where the 5 meter plus sheets were. And then there were sheets on the top that ran back towards the wall, like between the front and the wall. And that was all sitting on 100 by 50 millimeter box section steel pillions that ran front to back. So some of those were 5 meters, yeah, 5 meters long, yeah. So it was 5 meters from the front to the back. When you look at it like this doesn't look all that big, but the distance from that back wall to this front was more than 5 meters. So this is an enormous structure. Yeah. And so we ended up taking away truckloads of stuff. It took us days and days using a forklift to be able to lift it down, because we had to get all the sheets down from the top and disassemble it. And then, yeah, this is the guy who we got it from. He basically just picked up this piece of stuff and, yeah, this piece of Dexian and chucked it on the truck, complete, because he was in a hurry. He wasn't going to wait for us to do stuff. Looking for more photos. This one, this was, once again, when it was partially disassembled, and you can see this was with a beam being brought down. What was that beam? I can't even remember. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff. Oh, and you can see through there to that back wall. That was not actually the back wall. It then went further through again. What else is there to see? Okay, here's another one. This was when it was almost entirely disassembled. This is right towards the end of the process. We had the last little bay to remove. You can see that most of the floor sheeting has been removed. It was just some of these uprights. As we were doing the disassembly, it was all bolted down to the cement slab as well, of course. While we were doing this disassembly up high, we added this cross beam to give some lateral support, just because we didn't want the whole thing to, parallelogram when we removed these sheets. And you can see the end of the 100 by 50 steel purlins sitting up there. And then we slowly brought it all down. So where did we then end up? Let's find another view. This one. Oh, yeah. Here's another view. Whoops. At this point, I was standing in the doorway up on the second floor, looking out onto the final bay before it was totally disassembled. And you can see the forklift there with some MDF sheets on it, being that Lachlan's moving away. So previously, the structure went, so this was just the final little bay that you can see here. Previously, it went all the way back up, into this area where all of this stuff is stacked up. That was all part of this structure. So we ended up with a ridiculous quantity of Dexian gear. What else is there? Yeah, so uprights and beams and purlins and crazy things. So where did we get to? All right. So then the result of all of that is that the party tent has now been disassembled. And you can see the tent cover is sitting here. I've rolled the pick and place machines all together into a big group, and the party tent is draped over them as a dust cover to keep them clean while everything else is going on. And this is looking through the glass door from where I'm sitting right now. You can see that there is some Dexian that's gone up. These beams here are ones that I bought and had shipped down from Sydney. So these are 4.1 metre beams. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. I think they're 4.1 metre beams going across there. And so this was a little while ago. Things have gone on since then. Let's find another progress photo. Yeah, it just looks like total chaos at this point. So you can see here, this is looking diagonally across the factory. You can see the Bernie Boy reflow oven here. Pick and place machines behind with the cover over it. There's a couch sitting on its end just because there isn't enough room. You can see some of the uprights here. So these uprights, the blue ones, are running down the center line of the building, and the building is divided into two halves. And one half, so this area here, that's inside the clean room, and this area out here is outside the clean room. More photos. Yeah, what about this one? So this is standing up on a piece of yellow tongue, which is sitting on top of purlins, on top of beams. So you can see at this point, I'm looking down on the pick and place machines. So I'm standing over where the clean room is going to be at this point. Up on the right here, if you look through that top right corner, through that, look, you can see that my desk right there, in fact, where I'm sitting at this moment is right there. You can see my chair. And you can see the Space Mouse sitting on the desk. Yeah, so this big area down here where all of this stuff is stacked up and all the pick and place machines, that's all going to be clean room. And you can see the blue uprights that are running down the center line of the building. None of these purlins are fixed in place, obviously, they're just sitting up there at the moment. there is also going to be another row with 2 more beams. So over at this end, where, hang on, I've got to try to zoom. Why won't zoom work? That's better. Okay. Over at this end, you can see the top of the server rack here. So this is the server rack that is currently in place. And just over here, you can see another server rack. This is the one that I got from Andy, and this is the one that's part of that used to be part of the Cray supercomputer. So that one, the small one from the Cray, is going to be moved into this location. But then there are going to be 2 more of these orange beams running across in this area. So you can see at the moment that this purlin is floating in space at the moment. The end of this is unsupported. It's just sitting up there on the frame to get it up out of the way mostly. But there is going to be another row of 2 orange beams running across in this space up here. So all of these purlins will be well supported all the way through. So there's going to be another blue upright in that gap. There'll be an upright over on the other side that's out of the view of the camera, out of the view of the photo. Yeah, it's going to be an extremely strong mezzanine up here because it's got it'll have lots of cross beams, and it's got these 100 by 50 steel sections as purlins, and then yellow tongue flooring will go on top of that. Yeah. So, is there anything more recent than that? No. I don't have any photos more recent than that. What's this one? It's just more view of chaos. When you look at these pictures, it just looks like total chaos. There is stuff stacked everywhere because everything is being moved. And to do anything, like to put this upright in position, for example, this one here, I had to shove stuff aside to make room for it. And then to do other things, you then shove stuff into other directions. So it's been a big game of just shuffling things around, trying to get access to the bits of the floor that are necessary to put the frame in position. But it's getting there. Yeah, you can see here, this is looking across the room. Once again, this is from the same location. So I'm standing kind of towards the back of the clean room at this point, looking down through where the ceiling will be. And then that's across to the other side, and these are the shelves where I've got stock storage over here. So the mezzanine is going to be full length on the clean room side, and then there's going to be more mezzanine on the other side, from like that area. Not that you can see my highlighting very well. So there'll be lots more upstairs area there. Okay. All right. I bet. Trady says, save us some yellow tongues. They're handy as for running cables in cavities. They sure are. In fact, I've got lengths of yellow tongue stashed away that I pull out for exactly that purpose. And down here you can see a stack of rack mount servers just sitting around. In fact, this top one, this beige coloured rack mount server that you can see just here, that is the home automation controller from Steve Outram's house. So some of you may remember from back in the early days of the World Wide Web, the hot dog HTML editor and Sausage software. So Sausage was like one of those, back in the early days of the internet, it was, you know, one of the well-known companies. It was like, I don't know, what's an equivalent? I don't know. But we've got the well-known companies that are around today. Sausage was the well-known company from back in the early days. And yeah, that was Steve's business. So this beige box here was in a rack running Steve's home automation system, which at the time I think was supposedly the most automated house in Australia. Um, ah, Stephen says, disappointing lack of Cobalt web server boxes in that stack. Hang on, I'll see if we can see any Cobalts from here. They are... Where are they? No, you can't see any Cobalts in this photo. Let's see if I can pick a different angle. You might be able to spot some Cobalts. No, I don't think I've got a photo. No. There are a few. They're somewhere in this region stacked up, but can't see them there. Yes. Cobalt, Austin. So, Austin, you're probably too young to remember. Yeah, the Cobalt. They used to make a rack and a cube. These things were so cool. Cobalt rack. I'm going to find pictures of them. Because, yeah, these were legendary machines. I remember seeing one at an IT show or something when they first came out, and thinking that they were like the most amazing thing ever, and that if I was really lucky, maybe one day I would have one, and I ended up with a few that we were using for hosting. So you can see here, they were 1U rack mount servers, and the early version, so there was the original Cobalt rack, and then they brought out the rack 2, the rack 3. There's the rack XTR, which you can see on the bottom here. There are a few different models over. Oh yeah, there was a rack 550. They were basically low-end Linux machines with a web GUI and a fancy plastic faceplate on them. When you really dug into it, there wasn't much to them. Like, they were a very cheap folded sheet metal enclosure with a low-end Linux box in it with a power supply and a hard disk. They were running, the early ones I think were running Red Hat Linux, and they had I think it was a Perl, yeah, it was a Perl-based web management interface that ran as root so that it could rewrite config files. So it would do things like write the config files for Apache to set up virtual machines and all that sort of stuff. So really, really handy, very cool. It was cutting edge at the time. It meant that point and click interface, you could set up virtual websites and those sorts of things, and configure the network interfaces, etc. It had a little display on the front for menus, and then this system on here for navigating through the menus and setting things. But a lot of it was a shiny finish on something that was fairly basic, and they looked fantastic, but it was really a cheap folded metal case with a plastic thing just clipped on the front, and that was what made it look so good. Anyway, I've yeah. I think I've seen, this is an old picture, Rackport Sun Cobalt. Yeah, so Cobalt started off as an independent company. I don't know how it was funded originally, like where it actually came from. I didn't mean to click that. I was just trying to deselect. So, and then it was bought by Sun and died. So whoever, I can't remember, but whoever founded Cobalt would have ended up walking away with $1 bajillion, because they created this thing, sold it to Sun, and then it was, I think it was competing. It was probably one of those classic situations where Sun was trying to sell web servers, Cobalt was coming in as the young upstart and eating their lunch, and so they just bought the company. And then within a fairly short time, cobalt no longer existed. For a short time, it was called sun cobalt, and then it was just gone. Yeah, and this is the cobalt cube, which was intended for home use, so like a home server. Anyway, that was not what I was going to talk about today. All right, now back on the story. Okay. All right, story time. Back to story time. Where was I with the story? I can hardly see. These glasses have got so dirty. I've been doing so much dirty stuff over the last 2 weeks. Just, yeah, disassembling that mezzanine was a really, really dirty job. It had years and years worth of accumulated grinder dust and all sorts of stuff, like welding things all over it. So, where was I? Yes, so last week, the end result was I made it to the final day of everything open last Thursday, but I missed the first 2 days, which really sucked because Lachlan and I were busy pulling down this mezzanine and transporting truckloads of stuff and storing it here. And since then, I've been, both Lachlan and I have been building up our mezzanines in their respective areas. So putting the frames in place and leveling everything up and getting everything just right. So the structure for the clean room is now getting close to done. All of the mechanicals in terms of the uprights in place, bolted to the slab, beams in place. There are a couple of extra things, like as I showed you in that photo earlier, I need 2 more beams across the front. So I've got to add the uprights for those. And the back row of, so the last 2 uprights and beams need to be translated horizontally. They need to be moved backwards. Right now they can't because, as I was talking about earlier, we're in this game now of having very little floor space and needing to move things in order to put things into place. So right now the back 2 uprights and beams are fully assembled. They're sitting there, but they're probably about 1 meter out of position. They're too far this way, so they're not bolted down, they're just sitting there. In order to put them into their final position, there is a whole pile of stuff. There's a big bench and boxes and lots of things. So one of the jobs coming up, once we've got other things moved to make a bit of a bit of breathing room, is to move that bench. That'll move back into Lachlan's area, and then I've got to move some boxes, and then I can move that frame into place and bolt it down. And then begins the process of actually like fitting out the clean room. I've got to put the mezzanine up first as well. Anyway, lots of work to do. Cable Tie asked the question, did you leave space for stairs? Yes, stairs are all figured out. We had a bit of a serendipitous thing yesterday. So Lachlan and I have been mostly Lachlan, been doing the calculations of how much space you need. So putting in stairs, you need to think about I really hate these terms. They have, like, if you look up dimensions of stair standards, people use terms like the coming and going or something, but I prefer terms like tread and rise. So the rise in between each step there are Australian standards that say it has to be within a certain range. You can't have the step height too high and you can't have it too low. There is a range in which is acceptable. And the tread depth also has a range. You can't make super skinny stairs. They have to be deep enough to put a foot on, and they can't be more than a certain depth. So there is a range that you can work on in terms of making your stairs steeper by having short treads and high rises, or the other way, you can make it more relaxed and have deep treads and short risers. So it's working out the ratio of what you want within those guidelines to be able to go from the starting point up to the height that you need. But you also need to allow for head clearance. And in my particular case, my steps are coming out from underneath the mezzanine on the other side. And so I need to have it so that as I'm stepping onto the bottom steps, there is enough head clearance to the beam that I'm going to be coming out from underneath. And all of that is worked out. But anyway, the serendipitous part is yesterday Lachlan was out in the back part of the factory working on something, and so we'd already been talking about how we're going to make these fit, what sizes do we need, etc. And building stairs can be surprisingly expensive. You got to make them strong, like really strong, and it could cost more to put in a set of stairs than building a large part of like the rest of the frame of the mezzanine. And the neighbour from the factory directly behind, Alan, I mentioned Alan before. In fact, he even he came in once when I was live streaming. In the really early days, I had my computer set up. I was live streaming from my laptop when I was first in this factory, and Alan walked in and had a chat to me while I was on a live stream. So some of you may have seen him. He came in and was just looking at what we were doing, and one of us, Lachlan or I, said something about, oh yeah, we're trying to figure out these stairs, we need to build these frames. And Alan said, oh, I've got some stair frames in my factory. Do you want to come and have a look? And it turned out that he'd got some steel frames that came out of a shop, and they were made for, so basically it was like an angle, and then it's got the welded steel, so there's the angle that goes up the side of the stairs, and then it's got welded steel for mounting the treads on. And it was set up so there were 4 of these frames side by side to make a really wide set of stairs that were used in the shop. And he pulled them out of the shop years ago, don't know where, some job he was working on, and thought, oh, they might be useful one day, and stuck them in the back of his shed, in the back of his factory. And it turns out they're pretty much what we need. So he'd been hoarding 4 of these sets of stair brackets for years, and I need 2, and Lachlan needs 2. So yeah, so we're doing a deal to buy his stair brackets from him, his stair frames, and then I'll just have to put treads on them and mount them all. So it's all it's all worked out. It's all worked out very well. So we now have very strong steel framed stair assemblies, and there is even a side rail which I can use, which will perfectly work in my space. So I'm going to have steps that go up to a landing, and then from the landing into a door onto the mezzanine area. So yes, good point, cable tie. Getting up there is a thing. Lachlan's been saying that what we need is a fire pole for quick descents. So go up the stairs, go down the fire pole. That would be fun. Now, where was I? Where was I in this random story? So it's now 10:40 and I'm still random storying, and I haven't even got to this even closely yet. Not even close. Random storying. Okay. We've got the frame up. What else do we need? Yeah. Anyway, there's probably not much more to tell about that, because all it is now is more work. It's putting up more frames and putting in the purlins, getting the yellow tongue sheeting up there, screwing brackets into place, screwing everything together so it's all super strong. Austin says other stuff can wait, follow the dopamine. That should be on a t-shirt. Just follow the dopamine. Oh, Gavin said, time to fit a lift. Yes, with lift music, there's cable tie. Yeah, I think I mentioned a couple of streams ago that I was thinking of doing something like having a winch. Now, one of the things that we did was, in fact, I can show you this. I'll show you in two pictures. There is, you can see it, well, actually, this one here. So this is standing above the clean room area, and you can see that the beams in the far side do not align with the beams in the clean room. They're at different heights. They're actually different lengths, and the vertical offset is slightly different relative to the mounting brackets anyway. And the reason for that is that above the clean room, I'm trying to maximize ceiling space. And also the ceiling of the factory is on a slight slope. It's lower on this side of the building than on this side of the building. But the critical thing, and if I'll bring this photo up, you'll see it even more, even more starkly. You can see, if you look in this area, this is looking towards the clean room, so that's the clean room area. Has a lower ceiling, and this open area here where it's going to be outside the clean room, it's a bit higher. The reason for that is that this beam height is just over 2200 millimeters from the floor. I think it's like 2230 or something, 2220, I can't remember. But anyway, the critical number is that at 2200 millimeters, Lachlan's forklift can have a load up to 200 millimeters off the floor. So the top of the jib, or whatever you call it, on the forklift that rises. So the thing with forklifts is that as you lift loads, the top of the forklift goes up as well. And for the first part of the lift, it doesn't get higher because the frame doesn't exceed the height of the fixed frame portion of the forklift. But then once you get above a certain point, the top of the forklift goes up and you need more headroom. So the right-hand side of the factory is going to be a clear shot through under these beams. Now you can see this one had not yet been changed over. This photo and these other ones had not yet been changed over. This is when we're experimenting with height differences. And if I go to a more up-to-date shot, like, what about this one? Yes, this one. So this more up-to-date shot, you can see that the right-hand side has higher clearance than the clean room. And that way we can run, and down through this back area down here, that's through into Lachlan's part of the factory. What it means is that we'll have a clear shot to run a forklift all the way through from the back of the factory to the loading dock in the front, which could be useful in future times. And we could also use that forklift to lift things up onto the mezzanine. Right. Yes. So, where are we? Okay. Back to following the dopamine. I feel like I need a snack. Who else needs a snack? And who did not need a snack until the moment that I just said that, and now you need a snack? You're welcome. I'm so cruel. I'm just looking at these pictures, wondering what else to talk about with that, and I don't think a tradie, don't ask that question. So there are certain subjects I don't want to yes. Just moving some space here. Yes. That's one of the reasons why I'm yes. Oh, Austin said, I just finished my smoothie. And Johnny says, I just had a snack, so I win. Yeah. Right. So, do I need that anymore? No, I do not. I think what I need is to close that, close that, close that, close that. So many pictures I had open. Close that, and get back to here, and then that so that you can see it. All right, now. All right, so what I was thinking of for today is following on from the session with Austin when we went through the touchscreen. Oh, Johnny said today was our National Waffles Day. Oh. You know, I was actually going to make pikelets this morning, and I brought in, so I'm here at the office right now, and I was going to make pikelets here at the office. So I brought with me from home, you can see, there's a bag over there. I've got flour, I've got eggs in here, I've got sugar. Yeah, I was going to make pikelets, and oh, there's milk, which I need a dash of milk in them. And one thing I do not have, this is the killer thing that makes it non-viable. I don't have maple syrup here. So I was going to go to the supermarket this morning, and even though making pikelets is so easy, I just didn't. I just had some breakfast cereal instead. Cable Tie says, so tempted to pop in and be a TV chef. Yeah. On Friday, I got some sausages and cooked them up in the air fryer so that I could make a for lunch. So I had like a green salad and sausages for lunch. And what did I do? No, Tommy left. That's right. Tom was here, and I was cooking. No, it was, what day was it? One day I did bacon and egg rolls with salad, and I was cooking them. So I was actually cooking in the loading dock just out there. I've got an electric hot plate that I put out there. And when I was cooking lunch, I was saying to Tommy that, and it was a beautiful day, whatever day it was that we were doing it, that I really want to get a barbecue out there. And on nice days, maybe like Friday lunchtime could be a standard thing, that do a barbecue out there and have people from the neighbouring factories. Because the thing is that around this sort of area, in an industrial area like this, you end up getting to know a whole bunch of people. Like you know the people in the factories behind, and the coffee people from next door, and there's Stuart and his guys from over the road at the sawmill. There are lots of people around. So if it's a nice day and I fired up a barbecue in the loading dock, then yeah, I could have a bunch of people around for a Friday lunch. That would be cool. Austin says, I like corn syrup with my waffles. Now, one thing that I need to be careful of, and this is something that I've had to check, is that because of my Crohn's disease, not specifically because of the Crohn's, but kind of related to it, I have sorry, my brain is jumping onto other things as well. Short version, I can't have fructose because it has a really, really bad effect on my guts. And corn syrup, I think, is very high in fructose. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it fructose or fructose? I've always said fructose. Anyway, fructose. I can't have fructose, and I'm pretty sure that corn syrup is very high in fructose. And I think that at least some types of maple flavored syrup are also, they're certainly extremely high in sugar. It's basically sugar syrup, but I don't know what type of sugar. I need to find out. Yeah, Scott says fructose. Yeah, that's how I've always said it too. But then I've been told off for saying it that way, so I don't know. I'm going to keep saying fructose. So what I don't know is whether the maple flavored syrup that I normally get is high in fructose. I need to find out. Mitchell says fructose is with a U. And Scott said maple flavoured syrup is an abomination. Yes, I know, but I'm in Australia. I couldn't be much further from the source of real maple syrup. And real maple syrup is ridiculously expensive here. Mitchell says fructose. Yeah. Peter says leatherwood honey is greater than maple syrup anyways. Yeah, so I need honey. This is one of these things, ask Alexa, says Keith. This is one of those things where it's been bugging me for a while. I haven't actually known that that I am allergic to fructose for very long. I only found out when I did a test late last year. And the result is that since then, I've kind of just been paranoid about stuff that's got sugar in it, because I need to find out. And when you look at the ingredients on things, it'll say a certain percentage of sugar, but usually it won't break it down more than that. Like it won't say what type of sugar it is or anything. So, Austin says, guess I know what to pack in the suitcase. Yeah. So, maybe, yeah, I think, Peter, you're right. I think I'm going to just buy myself some honey. Honey on pikelets. How is this a tech live stream? Peter says, maple syrup is cheap at Costco and it's real. Peter, ooh, I think I might go and check that. Trady says, never knew you had Crohn's. We've seen what happened to Jeff Geerling and it makes me feel so grateful for how I abuse my body. Yeah. How you abuse your body. I know, it's... Yeah, Jeff has had a really bad case of it. When I say a bad case of it, that's like it's something that comes and goes, but it's not. You either have it or you don't. And he has... Yeah, he's had some really bad things. Like, I think he's had... Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had surgery to remove part of his intestine. I don't have anything like as bad as Jeff does. It may become worse if I allow it to progress, because once you have it, depending on what you eat, if you have things that then cause flare-ups, it then adds to like scar tissue and stuff inside your intestine, and it becomes more sensitive over time, and it all just goes really bad. I don't want that to happen, so I'm on medication for it, and I need to, it actually got me very quick access to COVID medication as well, because I'm classified as immune compromised, both because of having Crohn's at all, and then the medication that I'm on. I was on some really nasty immunosuppressant medication for a while, and it made me really, really sick, like to the extent of throwing up, that sort of thing. And so I was switched to some different medication, and now I have 0 side effects from the medication. That's perfectly fine, and I just have to be careful about what I eat. So anyway, yeah. Oh, Johnny says, I don't have Crohn's, still had to have that surgery. Yeah, that's right. I remember hearing that you did that. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. I hope you're dealing with that okay, Johnny, and that it's not being too much of a... It's one of those things where when things go wrong, it's not just something that happens and then you get over and then your life is back to normal. Your life is never normal. Like, it just never goes back to what it was like before. Sorry, this all came about because of comment. Who was it that said something about abusing the body? Trady said, yes, feeling grateful for how I abuse my body. This is the thing, is that through most of my life, I've been able to just eat whatever I feel like and not get, not put on too much weight and not have bad side effects from things. But now I'm having to be much more cautious about it. Jordan, hey Jordan, caught up to live. Really hit it at a high point. Oh, you caught up to me talking about Crohn's and not being able to, and being cautious about having maple syrup. So, this is what I want to know. Does real maple syrup have fructose in it? Okay, Johnny. Yeah, different thing. So, Johnny had severe diverticul... I don't even know how you say that. Diverticulosis? Yep. Something like that. And that's another rough thing that you really don't want to have. So you don't want to have Crohn's disease. You don't want to have diverticulosis. Yeah. Screwing up your ability to eat is not good. Because so much else flows from that. Like your ability to have good nutrition. The weird thing is that because of Crohn's, I can't have high fiber foods. There are a whole lot of things that if you just look at what are the right things to eat, what are good healthy foods, then you look at the food pyramid and the things that you're meant to have the most of. So you're meant to have certain types of fiber and all sorts of things that you should eat, and I'm not allowed to have that. So I'm effectively like on a low fiber diet and various other things. Like I can't have carrots unless they've been well cooked and ideally no skin on them. So there are really simple things like that. Like I like carrots. I just grab a carrot and eat it as a snack. Now I can't do that. I know, this is silly things to complain about, but it just means that in order to be healthy, I have to think a lot about what I'm eating and be selective. So the interesting thing is, Jordan says mostly sucrose, about 4% fructose. So that's probably okay. Yeah, and Scott says maple syrup is primarily sucrose. Yeah, and Peter says the same thing. Okay, cool. All right. 4% is probably in the range where it's okay because it's only put on as a little bit of a topping to give some flavor. So the total amount that you put on isn't that much. And then if only 4% of that is fructose, my body can probably deal with that. Yeah, Scott says all plant-based sweets have at least a bit of fructose. Yes. What was I complaining about? I don't know. I was complaining about something. Yeah, so it's really not that. Yeah, Celtic B says celiac, IB, diverticulosis, and Crohn's not good. Yes. But yeah, I think the point I was making is that the food that I am supposed to eat is actually like bad food normally. The stuff that is easy on my stomach are the things that normally dietitians or whoever would say eat that in moderation. So the funny thing is that there are certain fast foods and things, like I can eat McDonald's cheeseburgers and those sorts of things, no problem at all, zero side effects. It's, yeah. So the safe foods that I know I can just eat and have as much as I like and there's no side effect from it are the sorts of things that most people would typically say, no, 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 you need to moderate that, don't eat that, because it's not healthy. But for me, it's it's the sort of stuff that I can eat with zero side effects. Oh, Peter says, for what it's worth, honey is high fructose, 25% and up. All right, so that means that from now on, I'm going to go... I am going to go not for honey, I'll go for maple syrup, but genuine maple syrup. Yeah. Oh, Scott says, Aunt Jemima syrup is entirely non-plant based. Chip, outside the box says, it's a pity I'm not able to participate much. I've got a lot of input I might be able to make being diabetic, but the racing is taking most of my attention. Yeah, so Chip is probably probably in a very dusty place right now, watching cars go very fast with a lot of their time spent sideways on opposite lock. That's my guess. Just guessing. Yes. And break the back end free with a bit of a tap of the right foot, bit of opposite lock, slide it around, make lots of dust and have a lot of fun. Now, okay, let's actually do some tech stuff. Now, I saw there was I've just been catching little bits of the chat, and there was a question earlier. I can't remember who it was. Someone asked whether I run Node-RED as an add-on to OpenHAB, or if I use it standalone. Now, where was that question? I should credit whoever it was that asked the question. No. I can't find it. All right, so, oh, Peter said, have we had Steve proof of life yet? Yes, we did earlier, just briefly, and then I moved Steve out of the way. Oh, there's Steph, and Steve is just here, but I moved them out of the way when I put the conference badges in place. Trady said it was me, John. Okay, yes, so Trady asked whether I run Node-RED as like the OpenHAB add-on, or if I do it as a standalone thing. And the answer is standalone. So I don't have, I actually do have OpenHAB running. Where do I do it? I've got a Docker container with OpenHAB running. I wonder if it's even running. I might have shut it down. Running on the Synology NAS, because I played around with it various times over the years. So I've had a few different OpenHAB installations. I've also had OpenHABian running on a Raspberry Pi. That's not running right now, but I've installed that several times over the years to experiment with. Right now, though, what I have is a Docker container running on my Synology NAS, and it is running as a standalone Node-RED. And then I have an MQTT. In fact, let's see what this is. Probably dangerous pulling up history here, but let's see. What have we got? Docker. What do I have running? Running containers. I've got Mosquito, Node-RED, and Unify controller. What happened? Oh yeah, so Mosquito is my MQTT broker, and Node-RED is running as a standalone thing, and then I've got Unify controller all running on the Synology NAS, and I've got what other images do I have here? Other things that aren't running right now. Yeah, I've got things like InfluxDB, and there's a Home Assistant. In fact, I think I've got a couple of Home Assistants. So I've got some OpenHAB images here. And there's an asterisk that isn't running. So yeah, there we go. Oh, Celtic Bee says, I think you made a video a bit about this that you can point to. You are absolutely right. So if I go to Superhouse episodes, I should be able to find it. In fact, I'm going to drop in this into the chat. And there was data logging with MQTT, Node-RED, InfluxDB, and Grafana. This particular one and I will drop that specifically into the chat as well. But the so this is showing the building blocks of it. So I've got Mosquito as the broker. At the moment I don't have these running, and I've got Node Red. So Mosquito and Node Red are running here on the Synology NAS. But I don't have OpenHAB running at this moment in time. Now, Node Red. Yes, let's get to this. I'm going to power up. What have I got here? Okay, go to overhead. Shameless self-promotion, yes. So at least I didn't say, smash that subscribe button. Come on. Oh, no. I was a bit rough getting it out. Oh well, that can go back onto there. Hopefully I didn't break it. So, what do I want? I want to plug in USB, and we'll see if I broke it. Do I even have power on that? Oh yeah, there we go. So it's working. We've got the screen running. Oh, while we're here, when Steph first arrived a few live streams ago, there was sorry. I made the mistake of glancing at the chat when I was trying to say something, say words. What it comes down to is, what should be the definitive meaning of Steph? Now, there was a meaning that I think it was Scott said Steph could stand for, and then I think Imogen came up with a different one. And in Imogen's version, it ended in pizza's hot. I can't remember what the start of it was. So, yes, what should it be? Stream to end, Peter hopes. Thanks, Scott. Stream to end, Peter hopes. I've got to write this down. Stream to end, Peter hopes. But I can't remember what Imogen's version was that ends in Peter hot. Or maybe it wasn't stream to end, pizza's hot. It was something else. So, where are we? Wake up. Screen one. What have we got? Home. Config. Why did it not load anything on? Hang on. Screen one. Settings. Screen one. I thought it had tiles loaded on it. I don't know what's going on here. All right. No IP, says Austin. Ah. Why has it not seen? You're right, it's got, oh, of course it's got, it's not using Wi-Fi. Oh, I'm an idiot. Thanks, Austin. It's the classic, is it plugged in? No. Well, it's plugged in there, but not where it matters, which is here. Now, do I need, is it going to power sufficiently off USB, or do I need to? Yes, it is. There we go. And the background changed color as well to show that it is now, yes, there we go. So these are set up for Austin's LED controller, which is super cool. But what I want to do now is change this so that I have tiles here, a tile here that I can use to control the office lights. So I can do this now. At the moment it's publishing to MQTT, but I don't even have this plugged in. I could just plug it in, but I won't. and we can control that using these tiles. So what I want to do is learn about how the tiles are set up so that I can then add tiles for the arbitrary thing. As Tradie says, Pebcac issue, that's right. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. I am the problem, as the song says. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Looking at this. So this is where it was set up by Austin. This is Austin's example flow for controlling the so this is publishing to my MQTT broker, that one we were just looking at, which is running in Docker on my Synology NAS. So it's publishing to that, and it's using that to control the RGB LED. So let's see, we've got a couple of delays in there here. Apart from like last time when we were on the stream, TP32 config is the main tile setup. Thanks, Austin. Cool. So when Austin was on the stream and we were setting this up, you can see he's added these little notes here. Edit topics here, and over here it says edit topics here. And I didn't actually look at any of the detail that's in this flow. I just edited the MQTT topics and connected it to my broker, and everything worked. So I just cargo culted it and trusted that it would do what it was meant to do. So what does this do? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's a that's where you set the code. There's a switch payload event key. Yep, cool. Load screen, close, failed. Oh, Mr. Fixit says, I've sent you 2 emails with no response. Sorry, Mr. Fixit. I will try to find them. Sadly, I have many, many emails. So what do we do? Oh, from memory, that's right, Mr. Fixit. I think from memory it was about the 32 port. I have something here. Oh, about this, the 32 port RJ45 things. Yes, just a couple of days ago, Tommy went through and did all of the testing. So I now have 3 of those that are complete and functional. So I need to follow up with you about that. I think you got those finished on Friday. Now, where are we? Where was I? Okay, so these delays are curious. I'm sure there is a very good reason for it, but it's so rare to see delay nodes in flows that it kind of got my attention just because they're unusual. Okay, so we've got LED controller, switch. So we've got getting back to where this was. So Austin said TP32 config is the main tile setup. All right, so we've got a TP32 config here. Let's look at what's going on with it. There is a lot of stuff in that. All right, what I might need to do is put that into a text editor so that we can see it. Austin says, yeah, the custom icons need to be processed into memory before config can access them. Oh, all right, so that's what the delays are about. Groovy. Click the 3 dots. Haha, there we go. See, I really don't know anything. I need smart people like Austin to show me what to do. All right. Thermostat, background color, toggle, color picker. All right, so this is screens. Where does that one end? So we've got screen 1, label home, then we've got two tiles, there is a color picker, and then a toggle, and then on screen 2 we've got a keypad, and screen 3 it says hidden is true, and we've got the thermostat stuff. Cool. Background color RGB, color icon on. Alright, so does this mean that I should now be able to add a tile by editing this? Oh, Scott says, dang it, squeeze things together instead of side scrolling so much. Where was that? Where? Side scrolling? Side scrolling? I don't understand. Alright, let's see. So at the moment on the home screen here, you can see that we've got two tiles. There is this, which if I click on it, takes us to a color picker. And there is this, which if I click it, it has a toggle action. So those two are defined by these two things here. So what I don't understand yet is how that is then linked to a specific output, like where that goes. But I'm sure that will all start. Oh, Scott says, on the flow itself, you are making my eyeballs bounce. Oh, right. Okay, when I was moving that flow around sideways. So Austin says, switch back to Node Red. Yep, cool. I'll get there, Austin. So what I want to do is just add one more tile in here, just to see. So I'm going to copy that existing tile too, which is the toggle, stick it in here. Oops, I should have done that. I'm going to make it tile 3. Style, I'll make it a button. Icon, superhouse will do. Label, toggle. Alright, maybe instead of that label, I'll say office lights. Let's try that. I don't know if it needs, what the requirements are here. Video switch, says Mike. Oh, thank you, Mike. Yes, we need the remote control of that. So what I just did was, we've got these two tiles here, which are those two tiles you can see. Then all I did was I took tile 2 and I copied and pasted it, and I've made tile 3 and changed it to have a different label. Nothing else changed at all. So my goal is to what have we got? Rules, message topic, conf, blah blah. All right, I'm going to get out of that for now. So my goal here is to add a third tile and link it to the office lights. So I'm going to hit deploy. I haven't changed anything else, so this is not actually going to work yet. I just want to see. I'm experimenting with whether anything is going to happen here and what needs to happen to load a new config. For example, if I come here and hold to restart, so it's going to restart, will that now load that third tile? Maybe, maybe not. I'm sure Austin could tell me, but I'm just fiddling my way through and discovering it as I go. And there it is. Yes, Austin says reboot. It's based off LWT. Cool. So LWT is Last Will and Testament. So we now have another tile with the label of office lights, which is not. Oh, okay. It's turning that on and off. So it's basically doing the same thing as the other tile here. Boink, boink, because it's a duplicate of it. So how can we now make that tile do something different? So we're back in Node Red now, and in TP32 config we have the 3 tiles defined, and I'm curious about this. Oh, okay. Austin says, I cheated with the flow so it'll control the LED. Yes, it does. So we've got stat, blah, that's the last will and testament. What's this one? Stat. Okay. So, to make the tile do something different, is this going to mean a lot of messing around, Austin? Am I going to be fighting with it here? The main switch is where you want to tap in. Screen 1 is where messages from screen 1 tiles come from. Main switch. So I guess this switch here. And what is this switch doing? So 1, 2, 3. Oh, did that third one just automatically appear? What is going on? Peter, stop doing that. Stop tempting me with pancakes. Okay, so we've got 3 outputs. 1, 2, 3. And depending on the property of what's been sent. So, add a debug node and take a look. Cool. That is, oh, that's screen number, right, not tile number. So at the moment, the third screen does not have anything coming out of here. That makes sense. So the first screen, right, I see what's going on. So as you said, the screen number, if it's payload.screen, then the screen, the payload goes to output 1 if it's screen 1. And screen 1 is what we're dealing with here. So we are looking at screen 1 with those tiles on it. Okay, now coming out of output 1 is going into LED controller V1. And it's setting the MQTT command topic to the particular ID of the LED controller. And then it's setting things including controller index, strip index, channel count, etc. So that is... So screen 1 is all based around sending messages to the LED controller. Okay, so I guess when you said that you cheated, I guess this is what you're talking about. The fact that LED controller is basically just taking all of the messages from screen 1. So what I could do is add a different screen, perhaps, would be one way of doing it. And then, yeah, the LED controller is sending, doing MQTT publications. And Dodgy says, do you need additional switches? No, I think what I need in this particular case, well, an additional switch probably in here so that when we're sending a message that goes, so if we're on screen 1, the message comes out of output 1, which is this one here. And that everything that comes off screen 1 is being consumed. Jordan says debug node, yes. Yes, I need to add a debug node. All right, I'll do that. I was too busy talking to do that. Yeah, so deploy. And error node not deployed. Where? What? Oh, hopefully this worked anyway. Debug all nodes, selected nodes. Let's just do that one. Selected nodes. I want no, and debug one. That'll do. All right. So I just touched the first button. So in order to generate that, what I did was touch this one, which is tile 2, which is the toggle, and then we got this message here. So screen 1, tile 2, button, blah, blah, blah. So what we could do is switch based off this. So yes, who was it that just said put a switch in there? Dodgy said yes. So put an additional switch in here. What we could do is, I'm just going to shove that up out of the way. And in fact, what I'll do is I'm going to press the other tile, and what should happen is we will get another message that's essentially the same, except that it will say tile 3 instead of tile 2. So I'll do that and get myself out of the way. So yeah, what you can see is screen 1, tile 3. Now if I press the color picker, what happens? Opening the color picker does nothing, but then if I pick a color, then we get a message. So it's screen 1, tile 1. Now the alright, so this gives us a basis on which we could distinguish. So what we could do is have a switch in here as Dodgy suggested. So a switch leading into a switch. So this first switch is based on the screen that we're on. What we could do is use that as like a first level router, kind of. So we're sending to a different place based on the screen. Then within that, we could have that feeding into another. Yeah, Atreides says, object logic does my head in compared to ladder logic. I really need to learn more, I think. Yeah, and Austin says the payload can give you payload tile information and you can use a switch to filter those. Yes. All right. I'm doing a whole lot of talking around it. Let's, I'm going to move this over a bit here to make a bit more room. In fact, let's just move all of this down a bit to make some more space. And I'll move LED controller over here, because what we're going to do is intercept it right here, and yes, I know there are new ways to insert nodes into things. Let's try, just because I'm lazy, I'm just going to copy that. It's right here. All right, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to take that and stick it onto the input of another switch. And I'm going to say, I'll get rid of that. And I'm going to say if rule is, it's doing a string comparison. Yeah, this is going to be nasty, but let's do this. So string comparison, no, I don't want that to go to 2. I want, now how can we have multiple conditionals here? How do I do this in Node-RED? Let's say number is less than or equal to 2. Maybe this will work, maybe it won't. If the number is 3, then we go out, output 2, but this is treating it as a, I think this just changed recently in current Node-RED as well. See, what we've got here is a string comparison here, and we've got an integer comparison here. I don't actually know if this is going to work, but let's find out. And it won't be payload.screen, it'll be payload.tile. We'll do that, and then if it's 1, it'll come out to here, and if it's 2, we want it to do something different. Yeah, so Austin says, can do payload.tile, first option could be otherwise, aka 1 and 2, going to LED. The next option could be the tile 3 for the new button. Yes, exactly. So I think what you're saying is approximately what I'm doing. Hopefully I'm getting it right. And Dodgy says, don't think you need to touch the first switch because that is controlling pages. Exactly. So we've got a 2-stage filtering process here. This switch is doing routing based on the page that you're on. And then this switch is doing routing based on the tile within page 1. So now if I add actually let's just to check that this is making it through, let's move this debug node and put it here. So what we're doing is just watching the output of channel 2 on this, and I'm going to deploy that. I'm going to clear that. Go away, those messages are annoying. All right, and now back to here. So I'm going to go back to this. All right, what I'm going to do now is press this tile. So toggle that, and in Node-RED you can see no message came out of our debug node because that switch will have routed it up to here. So now I'm going to press tile 3, and back in Node-RED you can see we now have a debug message. So we are having success. So when I press that new tile, what happens is that the message comes out here. Cool. That means that our routing is doing the correct thing. So what I can do is I'm going to come here, light switch controller. What am I doing? What am I doing? Trady says, I reckon if I can master Scratch language, I can master Node-RED. When I was a boy, QBasic was my jam. Yeah, I'm sure you can. You can do this, Trady. Right, so light switch controller is coming from there. I'm going to have to scroll sideways. Sorry about this. So here we've got, this is on a different flow, but we've got a switch based on this. I wonder if I can link, now that I'm not going to try to link between flows. I'm going to, hang on, set state lab lights. Where is that state being used? Because what I could do is republish. This would be really, feels icky, but what I could do is from here, I could actually publish to MQTT and fake the button press from the light switch controller, but I won't do that. Austin says, you want to send an on-off for the screen to know the item is on or off, but also send a message to the device to be controlled. Yep. Oh, Keith says, I was using the link in and out this week to send a message between flows. Yeah. And Austin says, next thing would be to switch based off state. Right. So what you're getting at here is that thing I was just kind of fudging, which is I could publish to MQTT here and then have that message ingested back over here as if the light switch had been pressed. But that is a funky way of doing it. It could be done with global variables, which of course makes a lot of people say, wash your mouth out with soap. So at the moment I've got things like, here we've got set state lab lights. So I've got this variable called state lab lights, but it's within the flow. It's a flow variable rather than a global variable. That could be made global. But, so what's the, okay, the quick and dirty way of doing this would be to copy this and put it onto the other flow so that it sends these messages. So that is using Z-Wave to set the value on the overhead light for that particular light. Dodgy says, global variables were designed to make my code work. Yep. Okay, so I can think of, like, without even trying, I can think of 3, maybe 4 different ways of doing this, of varying degrees of cruddiness. And I'm procrastinating because I'm going around in my head which way to do this just for the sake of getting something working. Noticing that it is now 11:35, so I've got 25 minutes. I could go the quick and dirty way, or how do I do, oh, okay, I've got to remind myself what's going on here with this function. Okay, so this function is checking the flow. This is where the state lab lights is set. And what it's doing is it's a toggle function essentially. So each time the button is pressed on the light switch, we get a message that says the button has been pressed. And then the And every time you press it, the message is always on in this case. It's not toggling at the light switch controller. The light switch only ever sends a message of like when you've pressed the button. So this is checking whether the lights are currently on, and it just toggles them. It's this could be done so much more elegantly. It could just be done with an inversion. Anyway, this whole thing could be one line of code, but at least this way you can see what's going on. So it's looking at the state of the lab lights, and the reason it's got the or false thing here is to allow for cold start when it has a null value for that that variable. And then it's saying if the lights are currently on, then set it to false. Otherwise, set it to true, and then send on the message. So this just each time you press the button, it toggles the lights on or off. And later on in the flow, that is updated to reflect reality. So next time the button is pressed, it knows whether the lights are on or off. Okay, enough screwing around with that. So that's what comes in from the light switch controller. It goes through that little function, and it goes to this, which is the Node-RED dashboard object, which, or node, or whatever the terminology is, which gets an on payload of true or an off payload of false coming from that previous thing, and it passes through the message, and that's what shows up on my phone. When I'm using my phone to control the lights, this is the dashboard icon that does it, the dashboard item. Okay, and this is where it sets that variable we were just talking about. All right, scrolling across. We then go to a switch which uses the payload that came out of the previous thing, and it goes to one of two places. If the payload is 1, it goes out output 1. If the payload is 0, it goes output 2. So then that goes to an on message. This is how this could have been done in a single function, I'm sure. Like these three nodes, the switch, and these two could have just been a single function, but oh well. It then sets the message payload to on, because the message has to be sent out via MQTT, and it needs to be literally the string on or off. True or false doesn't work. So that's why it's taking from the switch and changing it. Well, it's actually changing from 0 and 1 to on and off, or off and on. You know what I mean. Yeah, you get it. So then that on message or the off message is published to each of these MQTT topics to turn the lights on and off. All right, so back to the point. Yeah, Dodgy says B whatever is not equal to B whatever. That's right. So this this function here, that's what I was getting at. All of this could have just been an inversion, making the thing equal to the thing that it is not equal to. So where are we? I've lost it. All right, so back to the touchscreen. We have the message coming out here. This is what's coming out. We've got screen 1, tile 3. Now, I've never actually used, in fact, I don't even know, what version of Node-RED do I have? How do I find that out? Where is it? It will be shown here somewhere. Is it at the bottom? Somewhere here. Node-RED 302. Okay, so I've got Node-RED version 302 on here, which I believe is pretty much the most up to date. So that means that I should have ins and outs to be able to pass things between flows. Now, I've never done this before, so and it is a pretty new thing in Node-RED. I think it was only introduced in Node-RED 3, which came out just recently. So what I want to do is create a little portal through hyperspace. I want to take this output that's coming out of the second output of this switch, and I want to send it through to this flow, and I want to probably have it come in around this area here. Now that means that this is not going to be updated, but, or maybe it could. I could bring it in here, and then lab lights would reflect the correct state. Oh, Austin says, in and out has been a while, but did get upgrades. Yep. Okay. So, I have never used an in and out. What have we got? Link in, link call, link out. Is that what we're talking about? Creates virtual wire between flows. Nice. All right, let's do this. Let's do it. I'm going to go move that up there, and I'm going to bring it down to here. How do we do this? Link out for sends to all connected link nodes. I have no idea what any of that means. So what I'm going to do is come back to the dashboard, and I'm going to do link in up here somewhere, and link out for that. Link in one. What is that going to do? Oh, okay, yes. So now we have a link in from touchscreen. And if I go back to touchscreen, is it showing the link out? Yes, it is. Cool. So it now has a virtual link. So output to his message comes through here, jumps through a wormhole in space. Scott says, you're doing it the hard way. Oh yeah, I don't have a clue. Oh, okay, so Scott says, right click the link, insert link nodes, then copy the link in. All right, let's do this. I'm going to undo what I've just done because I'll try to learn how to do it the non-hard way. Okay, back to how we were. So if I so I've got this link here. Right click the link and do insert link nodes. Ah, okay. Now, how do I put that onto the other one? So now if let's see if I copy that and bring it back over to here and paste, then I get it. Imported one node. Okay. So, what if I didn't want that though? What if I want, this seems like a strange representation to me because it's now no longer apparent, like it's not obvious that that is a link. If you click on it, then you can see where it goes, and if you don't click it, you don't see where it goes. I think I preferred the other way. Scott says just leave that one alone. Okay. Yeah, I just don't like the fact that it doesn't visually link those two things together. Like these two things could have absolutely nothing to do with each other, and you can't tell. Which of course is the point of a link, but when it's on the same flow and it's sitting right there. Anyway, not a problem. So what we've got is the link in here coming from the touchscreen. And let's just verify that. We'll do that, and let's turn that off. We've got selective, where are we? I want debugging and turn that off. Selected nodes, what have I got? I'll just turn on current flow. That'll do. Deploy. So what we should have now is, go away. What we should have now is messages coming out here from this magic hyperspace hole in the universe. So I'm going to click on that, and there we go. We get a message coming through. Cool. All right. Now, what does this message actually say? What can we use? State off, single. Okay. Off. Oh, I see why. It's going state off because it's always going to be off because it's not actually getting its state set to on. Now, one way, I mean, this is super crude. So I'm going to do it because I always do things the wrong way. Now, you'll remember that coming in here, we had, I'm going to bring this down here. Now coming in here, we had button events coming into this function, and it was saying that if the payload event is on, then do this. So what I could do, this is going to work, but it's going to be dodgy. I'm going to take that message into here. We know we are always getting a message of off. Message.payload port, I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm going to get rid of that entire condition, get rid of that. And state lab lights, blah, message, because we're always getting off. This won't work once the tile is correctly reflecting state, but for now this should work. So each time I touch that tile, we'll get an off message, and then it's going to use the lab light state. All right, here's the test. Let's go to the overhead value, and if I do that, nothing happens. Failure, failure. Okay. And I was so sure it was going to work. So what have we got? I'm probably doing the wrong thing. So state off. Oh, yeah, it's not message.payload.event. It's message.payload.state. If message.payload.state is off, then message.payload blah blah blah, yeah, done, deploy, and let's try this again. Back to here, and yes, that actually sort of worked. There is some weird stuff going on at the moment. Here we go. Because yeah, there is something else going on that I need to fix in Node-RED. So if I touch this now, it turned off one thing. It should have turned them all off. If I wait for a little while, there we go, the lights turn off. So it's working in a dodgy way because the screen is not reflecting the state of the lights. Every time I press it, it just sends an off. So if I press it again, it's going to send an off, but in fact it's going to turn the lights on in a minute. What's going on with this is that the machine that is running, there's a Raspberry Pi which is running a Z-Wave stick and sending messages out to all of the Z-Wave devices, and it is doing some strange stuff. I need to reboot it. That's why we've got that long lag right now. It just started doing that yesterday, I think. Right. Yeah, so Austin says screen can match state. Right, that is right. So the next thing is that the screen itself could now be updated based on other stuff. So now touchscreen, where are we? Load screen, where is it? TP32 config. All right, we've got that. Let's pull it out. So we now have the color picker, the toggle for the LEDs, and we have the toggle for, well, a button, which is doing office lights. So what I need to be able to do is set the state of this based on what is going on in the office lights. So Austin says you'll see the second item coming out of the LED controller, and it sets the tile to on. Okay, LED controller. Yes, I can see that. So we've got where are we? Here. This topic and payload is. I'll drag this out so you can see it. Lowercase payload state screen 1 tile 1. Hang on, isn't that the color picker? Message.topic, set message topic to command message payload to that. What am I missing here? So we've got two outputs coming from the LED controller node. Oh, of course you can't see the node red screen. I'm sorry. Yeah. So LED controller, that's right, backing up. LED controller. So we've got this node. So there's a command topic configured here, and then it's got these various parameters. And then it's got two outputs. The first output is going directly to MQTT, and the second output is going to topic and payload. So what it's got is a rule that sets message topic to this value, and we've got message payload to this. Now this is where I'm not following what's going on here. I'm not following anything that's going on really. So what it's doing is tiles state, lowercase payload state, and it's screen 1 tile 1, but I don't understand why it's tile 1. How is tile 2 getting its state? Yes, so Austin, that tells the tile is on off, is what Austin said. That's right, but that's tile 1. Isn't tile 2 the toggle tile? Austin says inject it, set screen 1 tile 3 on. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's do that is going to there, topic and payload. What I could do, okay, Austin says I was using tile 2 as toggle, thus never setting a state. Okay, so we need to set the state. So it is this. So I'm setting that to that is the topic, and blah. All right. So I could do this as a this is probably not a great way to do it, and it may not even work, but let's try this. I'm just going to do this as a separate thing so I can set everything exactly where I want it to. So set the topic to that, topic as that, and then I need to send a message of either on or off. Oh, tradie, okay, so there's a thing there about the Z-Wave stuff. It's inject node, says Austin. Yes, okay, just very briefly. Peter asked if I'd put the Z-Wave boards up for sale yet. I have not. I need to do that. That's a matter of, it's basically a matter of taking photos and listing them. And then there was a question about, tradie said, thought he scored them because it was a non-approved product that was heading to landfill. No, it is actually fully approved. This is the thing that makes them so cool, is that these were excess left over from a promotion that was being done by who was it? The power company, SP Osnet, I think it was. You know, the big power distribution company. They are fully Australian, like they're approved totally, and a huge number of them were distributed by the power company. What I ended up with was just leftovers from that thing, because they manufactured however many they made. They did this big promotion, there were a whole lot that went out, and they ended up with a couple of pallets of them left over. So that was like the scraps at the end of the promotion, which is what I scored. but they are fully legitimate, fully Australian approved. No problem at all using them, plugging them into the mains. It's all good. So I need to put them up and list them. Where were we? That's right, inject node. Inject. Oh, Mr. Fixit says got to run. Oh, okay. Check my 2 mails. I will. Thank you, Mr. Fixit. And I think one of these is destined to you, headed to go to you. Keith says, Keith is trying to get me back on track. Copy the topic and payload node, then change the JSON reference, tile 3. Okay. Copy the topic and payload node. Yeah, let's do this. We'll do it this way, which is a better way of doing it, and then stick that into that, and then I can get rid of this. So this thing here is the one. And so we've got the topic set, we've got the payload, and we want to set tile 3, and we want to set the state to payload.state. Oh, that can all stay the same. So I'm just going to send payload state of either off or on. I think that's okay. So then what are we getting back out of this? Where were we? Where was it? I'm thinking of taking it from, where do I take it from? I had the, so the value comes into here, then the function goes to either true or false, but I don't want it to be true or false, I want it to be on or off, and that comes from here. So we've got, what are we generating? 0 or 1? What comes out of that? So if it's 1, it's 0, 1. So return message is on or off. Oh, yeah, this is ugly jumping around. What I could do is combine the outputs of these two into another link node and send it back through to this. It's getting really ugly because this is all munging together these two different flows. Definitely not the right way to be doing it. But what have we got here? So switch, what is coming out of switch? Yeah, I could just do it from here. But then it won't change state if the value is changed elsewhere. All right, I'm going to do it this nasty way. I'm going to go to here and go link out and take that and that, because at this point we're going to get either an off or an on. And then back here I want to do a link in, doink, doink, and where is it coming from? Oh, I should have given it a name. So what's this one? This one is link out 5, and on here we want to be taking it from link out 5 on the dashboard. Okay, and deploy. What am I deploying? Is it everything or modified nodes? Yes, okay, that'll do. Yeah, Scott says, biggest problem with Node-RED is that it makes ugly work almost as well thought out flows. Yeah. Yeah, this is horrible. In 3 minutes, I'm not going to be able to follow where on earth any of this logic is going. I need to do this in a more combined way. But it's partly come about because I'm munging Austin's demo flow here and linking it into what I already had back in here. Anyway, let's just see what's going on. Let's try. What's going on with that? Okay, so what's going to happen? All right, I've just turned off the lights and it's gone to an off state. I'm still waiting for that delay to happen. There we go, the lights are all off. Now if I click it again, it turns the lights back on, but it did not change its state. All right, there is some debugging to do. Or maybe it will, because the other thing hasn't finished yet. Nope. Nope, it's still in an off state. All right. So where is that? So that is working up until that point. I know it's working to there. So if we come back to touchscreen, let's take, don't need this anymore. Get rid of that, bring this debug node down here, stick that one in there, turn it on. What are we getting back out of there? And actually what I want to know, more to the point, is what are we getting back out of here? I did it again. Okay. Please ignore the last 30 seconds. So, where am I? Deploy, current flow. Okay. So, we've got debug, and if I press that, we are getting tiles array 3 object, screen 1 tile 3, but we're not getting a state. I think I'm not setting a value. Topic and payload. So it's doing it based on message, set message.payload is payload.state. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm even setting that. So if we come back to dashboard, what's coming here is, yeah, message.payload is on or off. That's all it is. Okay. That's a, so message.payload, yeah, we don't have a payload.state. We've just got a payload, I think. Screen tile, maybe this is hacks on hacks. I don't like the fact that I've done that. But anyway, I just want to see this work. All right. So I'll turn the lights on. It worked. Look at that. I clicked it and now the state is on the touchscreen. It's a little bit hard to see because of the color there. But now the lights are on and the tile is on. Now if I click it again, did that do anything? No. It sent, I know why. That's because this is a hack on a hack. Because now it is sending the different message back here. Do you remember this? It's coming from here and we are checking for if a message payload state is off, but I don't want any of that. Let's just remove that entire condition so that it'll look for the state and then just invert it. All right. Yeah, so what I just did was in the function here, it was looking specifically for a state of off. So that's why it was never being executed. So let's see what happens now. Yes, now it works. So it goes to off. It makes working, this delay makes working with this really hard and annoying. So the tile is now showing it as off and the lights are off. And if I click it, the tile shows it as on and the lights in any moment now will turn on. Now, what I can do is, I wonder if, actually what I will do, I'm going to leave this visible. I'm going to walk over and press the button on the wall to turn the lights off. And we'll see if this tile here changes state to suit, to stay synchronized with reality. So I'm going to press the button now. It sent the signal and the tile turned off. And the lights any moment now will turn off as well. There we go. Now I'm going to go and press the button to turn the lights on again and the tile should turn back on. And the tile came back on and now the lights will come back on. That is quite the delay, Stephen. Yes. So, Oh, Dodgy says barely noticed the delay. If you barely notice that, I think you need more coffee. All right. Yeah. So we now have this functioning. It is terribly, terribly ugly, but press the button. It is terribly, terribly ugly, but I think now I have enough of a clue about what's going on with these tiles. And yeah, well, Scott says now, if you don't touch it again until next stream, will you have a clue? And as Peter said, did I just hear the phrase, unpress the button? Probably. That is probably what I said. But Scott, you're right. This is such a horrible, hacky way of doing it that if I come back and look at this in a week, I'm probably going to be looking at this and saying, what the hell is going on? Why do I have this like coming in here and that going out there and this in here and that out there? Yeah, I need to, what I need to do is probably unify these a little bit. I need to get it all onto one flow, I think, and make the logic a bit better. And the thing is that what this is also exposing is there are some underlying flaws in the state of this. So, or are there? Maybe I fixed that. I'm going to pull up the interface on my phone. I vaguely recall there being some synchronization issues, but maybe that is not the problem anymore. Okay, so coming back to here, and I'll stick my phone in beside it. Oh, put my phone on the other side. Okay, so this is the Node-RED dashboard. That top item there, lab lights, that is this item right here. That's the Node-RED dashboard object. And you can see that it's got a state of on. And we have an on state on the touchscreen, on Austin's touchscreen. We've got an on state on here. Now, if I touch this one, you can see that the touchscreen turned off and the state went off here and the lights are now turning off. So we know that if I press the button on the wall, Austin's touchscreen, the tile will reflect that. And I think this will reflect it as well, but I will just go over to check. We should see both of those states change when I press the button. And we did. Okay, so at some point in the past, I fixed that synchronization problem, the state synchronization problem. And both of those are showing the same states now. Oh, Scott says, just popped a screen cap from something I've been fiddling with too in Discord. Ooh, okay. Now, where is that in Discord? In message, in DMs? Let's see. Ooh. Interesting. All right, so I don't want to presume, is it okay? Peter said, will it reflect that it's lunchtime? My stomach is reflecting that it's lunchtime. Is it okay if I show that screenshot? Oh yeah, so Scott says, feel free to show it on screen as a counterpoint to the ugly mess. Okay, I will. I'm just going to do this in a way that does not reveal Discord, because I don't want to show private messages and things there. Okay, screenshot. Is that the screenshot? No. Where did it go? where did it go? It's, that one. I think that's it. All right. Now, there's a whole lot of stuff. Before I bring this up on screen, I'm just checking whether I'm going to reveal anything, because you've got a whole lot of stuff across the top tabs and things. No, I don't think it reveals anything personal. All right, I'll show this screenshot on screen. Look at this. Isn't this relaxing and calming after looking at the randomness of that flow that I was just showing you? So this is Scott's, the flow that Scott's been working on, Mini R2. Ooh, what have we got in here? This one exclamation command, CMND to a function, etc., coming out 104. Yes. Device status and info, switch, power on state. So we've got some injection things here. Is it up? Online, up, status command, yeah. But just the general layout of this is rather significantly nicer than what you should, than what I've just been showing. Oh no, DIY, you just made it. DIY said, hello everyone, I didn't get a notification that you're live, John. I don't know why. Maybe YouTube is missing notifications. Yeah, Scott says that's how flows should be. All right, so this is the dream. This is this is what we aspire to, and this is not. Oh, this is so bad in comparison. Yeah. All right. Let's do some, not now, but let's do some cleaning up in future so that when I'm looking at these flows, I can have this sort of neatness to it. Stephen says that would have taken some time to make it all pretty. Yeah, it would have. And also, I like the fact that you're using the borders around here. That's something that I wanted for a long time in Node-RED, and now Node-RED has them, and I haven't even started using them. So I need to put little boxes around different things for just visual grouping of stuff and make it all nice and neat. Dodgy asked, how do you get the boxes? Yeah, that's a frame function or something. Now, where is that? Where, I can't even remember how you do it. Is it right? No. Insert. No. Where is the frame function? I did see it at some point. Wasn't it groups, Mitchell said? Oh. Yeah, I think it is groups perhaps. So if I select those two and then say group selection, yeah, then you get a border around it. Whoop. Yeah. Select the set of nodes, right click group. Yep. But I will ungroup for now. Yes, food groups, says Peter. Food groups is right. I need to eat. Some of you probably need to eat. I don't know what I'm going to have for lunch. Maybe I should make pikelets for lunch. It's not the most, not the best thing. I've got some green salad here. I've got some sausages. I think I've got sausages left over from when I did lunch. When was it? Saturday. So I think I might have sausages and green salad for lunch. Austin says, I think it's time for me to stream and get my next PCB programmed and working. Yes, good idea, Austin. Gerald says, take care everyone, I got to go too, my sister is calling. Okay, Say hi to your sister. So I'm gonna go. It feels like I'm not at the end of it feels like I'm not at the end of the live stream, but I am 2.25 hours into it. I think just because I spent so much time messing around talking about setting all the factory stuff at the start. But I really do need to go and eat. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming along. I will try to improve my messy Node-RED streams, flows, and I will catch you all a little bit later. So, I know Scott can make awesome stuff because he's shown us that he can. Everyone else, go and make something awesome.